I get it, you scroll through endless listings, every laptop flaunting a ultra-fast processor and a gaming-grade GPU, only to end up with a machine that feels sluggish the moment you fire it up. A lot of buyers tell me they're fed up with hype that looks great on paper but crumbles when you try to run a 20-minute match or edit a video on the go. That's why I'm breaking down the ASUS ROG Strix 16 so you can see if it actually lives up to the buzz before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Strix 16 is trying to be a honest-stop shop for both hardcore gaming and serious content work. The 16-inch screen pushes a 240Hz refresh rate together with a QHD Plus WQXGA panel, which translates to a crisp 25601600 image that stays buttery smooth in fast-paced shooters. In a typical 1080p esports title like Valorant or CS:GO, you'll actually see the frame rate climb past 200 frames per second without the GPU breaking a sweat, and the high refresh rate makes that extra smoothness noticeable. On the flip side, the same panel is a bit demanding on battery life. You'll get roughly 3 to 4 hours of mixed use before you need to hunt for an outlet, so it's not the best choice if you expect a full day of unplugged gaming on a coffee shop table. The heart of the machine is the 14th Gen Intel i9-14900HX, a 24-core beast that tops most laptop CPUs right now. For most gamers, the extra cores don't translate into a massive performance bump over a more modest i7, but they become useful the moment you switch to heavy multitasking. I ran a side-by-side test with a video editing workflow, rendering a 4K timeline in DaVinci Resolve while keeping a Discord call and a music player active. The Strix held up, finishing the render about 12% faster than a comparable i7-14700H system. If you're a streamer or someone who edits footage between matches, that extra headroom is real value. If you only play games and don't dabble in demanding creative work, you'll be paying a premium for power you'll rarely tap. Graphics are handled by an RTX 4060 with 8GB of GDDR6. In the current generation, that GPU slots comfortably into the high 1080p/solid 1440p tier. I put it through a few modern titles. Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p with medium-high settings hovered around 5560 frames per second, while the same settings at 1080p pushed past 90 frames per second. It's not a card you'd trust to max out ray tracing at 4K, but for the resolution of the Strix's own display, it delivers fluid performance without resorting to aggressive DLSS compromises. If you plan to connect an external 4K monitor for a desktop-style setup, you'll need to dial settings back a notch, or consider a laptop with an RTX 4070 or higher. Now let's talk storage and memory. The machine ships with a massive 4TB SSD and up to 64GB of DDR5 RAM. Most gamers will never fill more than a couple hundred gigabytes, but the sheer capacity means you can keep a large library of AAA games, raw video footage, and even a few virtual machines without juggling external drives. The DDR5 memory runs at a high clock speed, which helps reduce loading times in open-world games and speeds up compile tasks if you're coding. The downside is cost. You're paying top-tier prices for space you might never use. If you're fine with a 1TB SSD and 16GB of RAM for your typical gaming loadout, you could save a good chunk by opting for a lower configured ROG model or a different brand entirely. Thermals are always a concern with a laptop packing this much horsepower. ASUS uses a dual-fan, liquid metal-enhanced cooling system that does a decent job keeping the CPU under 90 C under sustained load, but you'll notice the fans spin up aggressively during long raid battles or while the RTX 4060 is pushing its limits. The acoustic profile is louder than a fine and light notebook but comparable to other high-performance gaming rigs. In a quiet apartment, the fan noise can be a mild distraction, though most users get used to it after a few sessions. If you value a whisper-quiet environment for streaming or late-night gaming, this isn't the quietest option on the market. Portability is another practical factor. The 16-inch chassis with a